Well, Larsson Line has turned blue, which means down for Bitcoin today. The good news is that I'm back from vacation, and from Swedish midsummer until here, nothing happened. Absolutely nothing. We moved like 5% in each direction. Then I come back and boom, price action is back. The situation is a little bit tricky. And if you recap the past couple of months, what has happened is that we got stuck in this range. Resistance at 30k, we tried once, we tried a second time to get out, but supply was too great and we fell back down to the range bottom again. So what is a range and what is support and resistance? Support and resistance lines are basically the same thing. They are significant horizontal levels where price, for example, has turned around in the past. Like here, like here. Then that level was resistance. Then when price broke through, the same level becomes support. Like it was here and like it was a couple of days ago here. The same thing is true with the resistance. Now this level is resistance. In case we manage to break out and hold, a level like that could be expected to become support. This level at about 25,200 is significant because it was also the neckline of this inverse head and shoulders pattern that completed in March and took us up to 30k. For now, as I'm recording this neckline is still intact. We bounced there, but support held and we're still in the same range. We got an excellent tutorial in that the previous time we hit the 25k support. Then Larsson Line did briefly turn blue, but at that time this was a flag, if you recall the videos I made at the time. And the flag after a major move up is actually a bullish pattern, and the pattern did confirm on the upside, which took us to a high of 31,800. But the situation today isn't the same. This isn't some bullish pattern or anything, but the positive sign is that the support did hold. This level I didn't draw last Thursday, it was here already from before. A perfect example of how technical analysis works. So is everything good then? Bounce on support, we're still holding the range. Well, I'm not so sure. I'm actually a little bit worried. And one reason is this chart. The US government bonds 2-year yield. Usually, if this one moves up, Bitcoin moves down. We see that very clearly if we overlay 1 divided by this chart. So they kind of point in the same direction. You see that they have historically followed each other very well. Not always, but many times so. And recently, these two have diverged. 1 divided by US 2-year yield has tanked, while Bitcoin has held flat. One way that's a sign of strength, but it could also be that the bigger correction here is overdue. And if we go back to the yield chart as such, you can see that we're very close to a line that I've painted in red here. This red line means that if we break out above that, 2-year yield breaking out, traditionally, that is bad news for Bitcoin and it could take us below the support. If we look at the 10-year yield, that breakout has already happened. As you can see here, the yesterday's close was the highest we've had for a long time. We have to switch basically to monthly candles to see that the last time we were there was in 2007, like 16 years ago. Wow! And the 2-year yield was here once in 2006, but before that it's back to year 2000 that we had this high 2-year yield. And again, this curve going up is usually bad news for Bitcoin. The only little bit possibly good news for Bitcoin bulls is the DXY. I previously painted this as a range, but it could also be that this one is forming a channel. And same as the 2-year yield. If this one goes up, Bitcoin often goes down and vice versa. So if this channel interpretation is correct and this one actually turns down here, that could give some pump fuel to Bitcoin, at least until we drop down here or here. Then there's also the whole environment around crypto at this point. A lot of people hope for a Bitcoin ETF approval. I don't know. I'm not so sure. Of course, we have BlackRock and these powerful players, but the whole US government, they don't like Bitcoin. They don't like crypto at this point. Perhaps it needs a change of leadership before these kind of things will get approved. I don't know. My gut feeling is that it will be declined again. I mean, the SEC and a lot of other agencies, they hate crypto. They hate everything that has to do with it. And if these ETFs get declined, we could fall down below this area. Another scenario that I would like you to be aware of. If you look here on the range high, you can see that it looked like we broke out. We got above the resistance, we got above the previous highs from April, and at this point, maybe on this candle, it looked like we have broken out. Turns out it was all fake, because on the next candle, we got the bearish engulfing and then fell down below the support again, which became resistance, like I talked about in the beginning, and down we went. The same thing can happen on the downside. So now support is somewhere here, right? Because this was where we turned last time. So a lot of people will have their stop losses somewhere here at maybe 24,600, little below the previous lows, or if looking at the daily close, maybe at 24,900. So what the market manipulators might do is that they might run price down here, little below, trigger all those stop losses, then run it back up, and then take it from there. If those negative factors I talked about, like an ETF rejection or some other negative industry event or some more regulatory problem or the yield breaking out, then maybe run it down instead of doing it in one neat move like this. That would trigger a lot more people to end up on the wrong side of the trade. So if this happens, if we find ourselves here, okay folks, then it's time to start looking at target levels on the downside. Then one tool that is very useful for doing that is this volume profile. For example, you can see here we had one peak, here we had one volume peak. So if this actually happens, if this runs down here, that could be one target level, and if it gets even worse, this volume profile should provide some support here. And imagine if this happens. Imagine if price actually drops to 20k or even 16,000 something. How many people do you think will give up at that point? I would say most people. So then most people will be sidelined. And what happens then, you think? Boom, probably. They run the price up, 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 up. Everyone sidelined. And boom, up to 100k. This is one max pain scenario that I think could very well play out. Now, this is not a prediction. I don't know what the market will do next. My uncle doesn't run the market, unfortunately. At this point, that's just a scenario. That hasn't happened yet. Perhaps something else happens. Perhaps same thing as here. Perhaps we actually break out this time, retest and hold. If that happens, here would be a good entry actually, with a clear invalidation, limited 10% risk, and basically unlimited upside. That would be another very nice scenario if that plays out. So instead of trying to think that we can predict the future of markets, which we can't, we can plan for different scenarios and make sure that we win regardless which of these scenarios happen. We can react to what actually happens, be one step ahead, have action plan ready. If this happens, we do that. If that happens, we do this. So right now, we're Larsson Line Blue, which is not the notification I want to get from Larsson Line Pro, that Bitcoin versus USD has flipped blue, but it's a fact. I am 70% in cash right now. That means that whatever happens from here, I am well positioned. If we get negative news and we dump down here or even here, I will get the chance to get even better entries on the turn up and be loaded and ready for 100k and beyond. If this range holds, we maybe just run the lows and then break out on the upside and hold. Okay, I'll add the rest here then. 33 maybe. If this one is going to 100,000 or 300,000, it doesn't matter if I enter at 30k or at 33k. What matters is that I don't go all in at 30k and then hold that down to 16k, because then I've erased 50% of my portfolio, and that would be very, very dumb thing to do. I'm going to follow the process, take this one step at a time, and remain confident that whatever tricks they play on us, we will be able to anticipate it, we will be one step ahead, and we will turn this into fantastic opportunities. I've never been so certain that this is the right approach. technical analysis, classical charting, horizontal boundaries, following the trend till the end when it bends. Try to react, try to maneuver, not get stuck in some position and not able to change our mind. Market structure changes quickly. We have to be quick on our feet. Take action when action is due. From Monday next week, I will start daily videos. I'm back. I'm pumped. Thank you, tack. City och Larsson out. Hej då!